is being recorded.
Oh my gosh.
That was interesting. Okay.
That means it's probably just started.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Oh, bummer.
The EC's been doing a bunch of updates, and I guess the recording function's not working. Okay.
We tried.
Yeah. So this...
Carrie says no. She says that's an alert every 15 minutes to let you know.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie.
Perfect. All right. I'm learning something new. All right. So having this, and actually now that I'm thinking about it, even that screenshot of the mobile app, I think I'll probably take a new screenshot with the the preferences page open on the mobile app.
To remind them to sign up for their organization? Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, so that, because that blank screen is not what people go to when they first open the app. When they open the app and they've never opened it before, it goes straight to your preferences, and then you'll be able to see the, where you type in your username and everything. And so I think having a slide with these side by side, and we can put these into the Certified Trainers Network resources, so you have them, helps people start to understand, okay, so there's two different things going on here. There's a mobile app and there's a web application. They look a little different, but it's really easy to get confused between the two, especially because in the preferences on the mobile app, we now have a link in there. Like it says, if you haven't created an account, click this link. And from the mobile app, it now it opens up the web browser in your phone. And so now people are really confused, and the color scheme's very similar. And so it can be very confusing to folks. And I've seen them run into issues when we get to add an observation, and they say, well, I don't see that button. And I walk over, and it turns out that they've been on the web browser the whole time.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Yeah. So one thing that we did with that NASMA training, we've tried a couple of times since then, is showing the slide and then just saying, okay, first we're going to start with the web browser. We're going to go to, open up the web browser just like you're Googling a recipe, and we're going to go to this website and we're going to log in that way. And I'm going to show you what that looks like on the web browser here. So, well, you know what, I'll just go to the web browser here. And so we were talking about ways to kind of mimic being on a web browser. So you know what, sorry, I'm going to do a couple things first here. All right. Oh. Get my screen. Sorry, my desktop is very messy. Way too many icons there. All right. So I have shrunk down my web browser a little bit so that now it's going to be mimicking what you would see on a smartphone. And if you shrink it down even more, let's see, can I even do that on this computer? No. Okay, that's as far as my screen will go. But it'll be more stark once we get into the system here in a sec. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. So I direct people to log in, or, of course, they can create their password and username for the first time here on the sign up page. All right. So I'm going to start out with the, see if I can move this down a little bit. With things shrunk down, I get the little pop-up window. Oh, just a little tip so you guys know, even though I do the same thing, I instinctively just X out of this, or I push the little do not show this in the future. But there's actually some, we put some updates sometimes on this little message that pops up, the welcome to Imap. And so the most recent one was that it was updated right before Halloween, and that's when the filters came in. I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so this is mimicking that I'm on a smartphone, because if I expand my web browser, you'll be able to see, all these tools across the top, just like if you were on your desktop. But if I minimize my screen, then suddenly those tools that were across the top are now condensed into this one little tool button here. And so this is how it looks if you're on your phone, on your web browser. This is how the whole database looks. And you can actually, once you get someone to log in successfully, and they're on the web browser, that's of course like, you know, good indication that their account is working well and that they do know their password and everything. They can actually submit a record through their phone, through the mobile browser of their phone. And so what we did for the national conference is we had everyone submit a point online on the web browser first, submit their fake species, and then we went to the mobile app and had them log into the mobile app through the preferences, and then create a second fake species record through the mobile app. So it's just a, you know, if you have the, you know, the ability and you have good connectivity, because of course if you're doing anything on the web browser, you have to have cell service, right? You have to have good connectivity there. It's just another option. Sometimes I'll have people log in to this, even if I'm not having them actually submit a record online, I'll have them log in online just to make sure that their account is good to go and that they're remembering their password correctly. But I did use that. Here, I'm doing that kind of quickly, sorry. So I clicked on that little tools button, and I'm going to hit this open create record. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to submit a fake species on here. I'm going to submit a presence record. So if I hit presence, so this is what it would look like on my phone. You know, of course, it might be even more condensed if my phone screen was a little smaller. I wonder if I can even tighten that up more. One nice thing if you are on the phone on your web browser is that you can use this Find My Location, and it will get you pretty close to your actual spot because it's going to be using your GPS as long as you allow imapinvasives.org to access your GPS. You know, that's kind of a key thing. Here I'm, you know, hardwired into the DEC building, and
the servers are over there.
You never quite know where your internet access is coming from when you're logged in, but it got me at least, you know, pretty close. Got me over on the other side of the river. But if I'm submitting a fake species, you know, I could use that Find My Location. I could, you know, so it's saying that I'm right there. I can plot my points by just pushing on the screen. I mean, another thing with smartphones is the touch screens are touchy, right? You know, I mean, if you start accidentally, like, you know, the back of your hand kind of hits part of the screen, you might plop your points somewhere else. So you just have to be aware of that. So if I put my little red dot there right next to that blue dot, which is indicating where my current location is based out of. But then I can hit next on here where it says present species. I can type in fake species. I can add a photo. And I believe, yeah, if I were on my phone, I'm not actually on my phone, I'm on my laptop, but if I were on my phone, I hit add photo, then it would take a photo for me through my camera. And then hit next and complete. And I've just entered my fake species record online. So it's there. And then, you know, I can take the whole class through the app setup. Say, okay, you did it successfully online. Now you know how to log in and do a whole bunch of cool things on the map, like search for species and so forth. But now we're going to focus on the companion app, which collects records when you're out in the field. And of course, you know, this is always an option too. I mean, if for some reason the mobile app is not working on your phone and you have connectivity, you can just collect points straight through the website.
As a couple people have done it for the treatment part. Because you can't do treatment on the phone, and you can do treatment on the browser.
Yes.
So that's another option.
Oh, and Ryan was asking, what did Ryan just ask? My chat just went away.
What if we enter the name correctly, for example, common buckthorn, but it's actually, incorrectly, but it's actually glossy? Will the person who checks it just change it, or will it get deleted?
Oh, so it actually forces you to pick the right species. So here, if I'm online, if I did...
Well, common versus glossy.
Right. If I type in, like if I got the identification incorrect.
Right.
Oh, got it. Yeah, if we catch that, we will change it for you. I've done that a bunch of times before. I know
the user can change it until it's confirmed too, right?
Yes. You as the user can change it even after you've submitted it. You have to do it online, of course, if you catch it yourself. But if you don't catch it, and if I catch it, then I'll change it for you, or one of our confirmers. I mean, with the caveat that with common, if it was entered in as common buckthorn, that's kind of on the lowest priority of records that do get checked. And, you know, we get we probably got like 5,000 or 6,000 entries just this summer alone through the mobile app. And so, you know, getting down to the common buckthorn, those don't get done quite as quickly.
Well, also, when you get into it, the organization level, that has confirmation power, right?
Yes, yes, we will get into that.
So that's another place to help with the confirming process. So if you're doing this within an organization, you could let that organization admin know. It doesn't have to be us that would correct the species.
Right, but we won't confirm it without looking at the photo. You know, so it will sit unconfirmed until somebody has a chance to look at it, and then we'll anytime we see you know, that it's a different species, then we'll change it for you to the correct species. We are, you know, it's one of those things on our list. We're slowly building a confirmers network, and you know, so the PRISM leaders all have the ability to confirm records. A lot of and I'll get into this in more detail here in a little bit with the organization. So if you have records in your organization, there's people who can confirm those, and then there are statewide confirmers as well. All right.
When you have a pause, another question that came in led to the IMAP user manual. Do you want to show that for people?
Oh, yeah. We'll jump to that next. Let's, one thing I wanted to touch on was Frank's question about different ways to mimic the mobile interface.
Yep.
And so I don't know if you can see the very top of my screen. So what I did with the browsers, I used these little like the little maximize, minimize buttons. And so if I, you know, if you're on if you're doing a presentation and you're on the website and you want to mimic it quickly on the fly to your trainees, then, you know, using your web browser is a great way to do it. You know, just pushing this little minimize, maximize button so that it shrinks your screen. And if you see the tools button go, you know, down to one tool from here, I'll go back to the, you know, from like 5 or 6 different tools, then you know that you've successfully gone into mobile responsive mode. And that's mimicking what people will see on the phone. But there's a couple other things that we mentioned. So through a webinar, Meg, you actually did this recently, right? Do you want to explain what you did?
Sure. So if you're doing a presentation, so Carrie, this is something that you, I know, have access to because you have WebEx. I don't know how many other certified trainers through their job or otherwise have access to one of the Zoom or WebEx or BlueJeans or something like that. But if you do, even if you're doing an in-person training, you can, as long as you're somewhere you have good connectivity, you can set up a webinar on either Zoom or BlueJeans or WebEx. And I know WebEx, I'm assuming the other two, they have a phone feature now. So then you go to your phone or your tablet, even if you're in a Wi-Fi zone, and you can set up, you log into that webinar on your phone, and then you can share the actual screen from the phone. It worked very well.
Brilliant. All right. And there's also hardware that you can buy, which we haven't explored quite as much. I've seen it successfully used by state parks, where something where you can actually connect your mobile phone through the port of your mobile phone to your projector.
I think Frank does something like that. Frank, you have an iPhone you do something like that with, right?
You might be typing.
Okay. And if you can do like mirror between an iPhone and a Mac.
Okay.
That would be another way to do it.
Okay, great, great. So there's lots of different options, and I know the technology is moving fast. You know, if you're doing a training coming up and you have questions about it, definitely shoot us an email, because we have explored a number of different ways to, you know, display your mobile phone onto the projector, you know, so that you can show what's actually on your phone to the whole class.
I made a note. That would be an excellent handout for us to add.
Yeah.
So maybe early next year.
Okay, great. All right. And remind me, what was the...
Well, the 2 questions that have come in so far, one was the iNaturalist EdMaps World, and the other was the IMAP user manual.
User manual. Okay, great. I'll go to that first. Let's see here. I'm going to maximize my browser now. And I'm going to go to the New York imapinvasives.org website that I know we sent a lot of people to. So we need a better way to link this.
I will, hang on, I will, we know that we need to update the Wix website, which, you know, it's so funny, as Jen mentioned, technology changes all the time. So for like 7 years, we had a Google site, and now we've had 2 years on the Wix site, and it was a huge upgrade. And but we do know now it has morphed a little as we add things, and we know that it needs to be better searched and reorganized, and we will work on that next year. In the meantime,
I'm actually having trouble finding exactly where we have it linked. So it's on the national site, but I'm trying to find the link within our New York specific site.
I think if you go under online tutorials, there might be a link from there.
Okay.
But I usually personally just go to the national site.
Right. Okay.
Colleen could chime in and she would know how to find it.
I don't think she's actually on. Okay, we will make sure we have a much better link to the national site on our
that's a
main
great
site.
idea.
Yeah. So
sorry, there's another idea from the, we'll get to that too. And Ryan has sent the link to the user manual.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
So the trick that I always do is because I have bookmarked the New York Imap Members site, I always load that up and then I delete the New York part. So it just goes to imapmembers.org. And then I go to Help and Resources. And that's where you have the user manual, the frequently asked questions, the help documents. And this is also a place we need to consolidate a lot more, because there's some things in the user manual and some things in the help documents that are, you know, should be all together. And, you know, this has actually been a collective effort of all of our network partners. So, you know, our colleagues in Pennsylvania have contributed different help documents, our colleagues in Oregon. You know, it's an amazing resource to have this network and, you know, have people contributing time to it. But it, you know, it kind of has led to a little bit of a hodgepodge too. So we're working on it, and that's something else that this new person coming on in January, that's on their task list, is to help clean up and just make it more intuitive where you go to get help.
You know, I think also maybe on the New York site, the handout, Carrie asked about whether there was a handout for the mobile app that people could look at, and I'm pretty sure that's on our main site under mobile tools.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. So there's a number of user manual help pages here. There's also a number of help documents that are more like PDF structures, and some, you know, some of the webinars, recorded webinars that we've done. Let's see. Yeah, I know I saw the mobile app one.
I think that's on recently. The New York IMAP under mobile tools.
Okay. And there's a mobile
tools maybe it's under this mobile
here.
Tools. Yes, this is the problem. We are aware of it. There you go.
Any of you who manage websites probably can relate. Yeah. It's a work in progress, no matter how. It takes time. Yeah. So yes, those resources are all there. If you ever need something, please just let us know and we'll find it for you, so you don't have to waste time trying to figure out where it is on the website if you can't find it. You know, I would say first try the user manual, and if it's not there, just let us know. And if we don't have one yet, a handout for it, we'll add it to our list of potential ones to create if it's something that keeps coming up and getting asked.
Just so you know, another request that came in is setting up an email alert for their PRISM. A lot of HWA surveyors, Carrie mentioned in particular. Okay,
great. I'm going to touch on email alerts here at the end. So or at the advanced things section.
Okay. And that's probably the good place for the iNaturalist and EdMap stuff.
Yeah. Yes. So just one other thing with these kind of training tips and so forth. One thing that we've talked about a lot here, I'm going to bounce back to the New York site, is pre-training homework. So it really helps. We've found that if you do know the participant list ahead of time and you have a way to communicate with them, as opposed to, just advertising that you're having a training and whoever comes, which is great too, but if this is something that people have to sign up for, so the people are coming, you can send them homework, and it really helps expedite things a lot. I think with the, let's see, is it on the follow-up?
I think when you get to it, though, it still says coming soon.
Yes, we do have we have a spot at least for pre-training homework, and we haven't made the PDFs yet.
Right.
But the thought is that the things that we tell people in an email before we go and do a training, we say, okay, create an account. That's the first thing, and we have the link to how to create an account. Then, logging in online, I think, is key. So number one is create account. Number two is log in online on the web browser so that you can see that your account works. And then number three is download the app. And that's usually where I have people stop, because the training is really setting up the app, right? But if they have successfully logged into the web browser, the Imap Members online, then as long as they remember their username and password, that they will be able to log into the app successfully.
And this has also helped if you provide this homework, and always, we like to cover these both worlds in case we have a mixed audience of tech savvy and tech challenged, or less comfortable, I think is what you used. Then you can say, if you have time, it's helpful, please do this ahead of time. And then as people are gathering and all, you can find out who's done it and who hasn't. And again, that pairing thing.
Yes, yep, definitely. And, just throwing this out there, I know this is something that we will eventually get to, but if somebody has time and is, comfortable enough with IMAP that they're somebody on the call, if you're interested in, taking a stab at making a handout for pre-training homework, please let us know. It's kind of a collective, this whole thing is a collective effort at times, and sometimes people get excited about making some type of flyer or something, and, we always greatly appreciate extra help in that arena. So, send us a chat or send us an email, and we'll get you with all the resources you need to put that together. Great. So before I move on, I was going to move on to some of the more advanced online things. I want to pause and see if there are any other things kind of relating to trainings. Like, these are some of the thoughts that we've been brewing up from doing some hands-on trainings lately, and just kind of throwing it back out to all of you. Is there anything that you've learned that really helps, or things that you wish that you could do?
We have a volunteer to help with the handout.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. Awesome. Yeah. Anything? Any thoughts from the crowd before we move on to the next section? All right.
I just want to thank everyone too. Oh yes, no, Ryan, that was the question. We're thrilled. We will get you a couple of slides you can play with and make a handout as a draft. That'd be fantastic. But I do just also want to thank everyone for the participation via chat. It's so nice when you're in a room without anyone really here, and the collaboration through the chat box is just wonderful. Thank you.
Just a quick question on that, because I do webinar trainings quite a bit. Is it helpful to have the camera on? I know a lot of us are kind of naturally introverts, and we wouldn't normally turn on the camera, but I've had people say that it does kind of help. Oh, yes. Okay. Got it.
Already.
All right. I will get out of my shell more often on these webinars, and I will turn on. Oh. Yeah, Carrie prefers to have everyone. So, yeah, feel free. If you have a camera option on your setup right now, feel free to turn it on. And, sometimes I'm working from home, and I have to, make sure that the background's okay.
I know. The dishes in
not showing dirty dishes or something, but, we're all friends here. We don't mind. That's just life. All right. Great. what?
That's an interesting point. I will read that one.
Yeah.
Ryan said that, I believe Ryan is a female.
Yeah.
She prefers having the presenter, but not other people. And she said, yes, she is a she.
Oh,
Thank you, Ryan. And I actually, on a setting like this, I agree. I think if there's 9 faces, it's actually not helpful.
Oh, yeah. You know, in some webinar settings, I think WebEx does this, like, if you have any background noise, then your face, like every time the audio is coming from your account, then your face kind of blows up on the screen.
Oh, that's
gets
nice.
bigger. I have noticed that. So if you have a little bit of background noise, sometimes you'll have like these flashes of, you know, strobes of different images popping up. So that is a good point. Yeah. All right. Great. Well, good to know. We can good for the rest of you too who do webinars. You know, gotta turn on your camera every once in a while. I've had Carrie Brown Lima tell me that it's been very helpful for college classes when I'm doing a lecture to a class, you know, and there's 30-some students in the room. It's really easy to zone out if you're getting lectured by just this like magic voice coming through the speakers. You know, they can see my slides, but if they actually see my face, then they feel a little more, you know, like that personal responsibility to pay a little more attention.
Yeah.
So, all right, great. Thanks, guys. All right, so I'm going to zip back over to my slides real quick because I'm going to get into some of the advanced things with IMAP 3. Let's see, did that actually not? Oh, here we go. Okay. So when we built IMAP 3, you know, we tried really hard, and we're still working on this, to strike this balance between simplicity in this online interface that, you know, professionals and citizen scientists can use, but also, you know, having this complexity built into the system that allows for different levels of permission. And since IMAP Invasive is targeted towards being used at a jurisdiction level, so like at a state level, like here in New York, we use it as the New York State database, we have to have different levels of permissions within the system. There are certain things that our DEC staff members can do within the system that no one else can do. And of course, there's things that the IMAP Invasive team members from the Natural Heritage Program can do that no one else can do. And this really helps being able to use the system at a state level. And so just to kind of break down the user roles as simply as possible, this is a slide that I've been, you know, kind of trying to refine and make as simple as possible so that people can understand what these roles are, just so that you know they exist. And, you know, if you're using IMAP Invasives for work, then you definitely need a lot of permissions within the system. If you're using it as a volunteer, you know, volunteers say maybe only collecting data points, then you don't need as many permissions as, say, like a volunteer who's leading trainings. So you as certified trainers need more permissions than, say, the people that you are training. And we just want to make sure that you know what's out there so that if you don't have the permissions that you need, you can always contact us and ask for them. But you won't know what to ask for if you don't know they exist, right? So that's why we wanted to let you know what's out there. So starting in that kind of far, you know, lower right-hand corner, that pink box, Imap Members. This is anyone who creates an account from that online interface, that sign-up sheet online. So this could be, you know, whether you're in New York, where we're an IMAP member with the whole network, or I'm sorry, that was very confusing. We're a member of the IMAP Invasive network nationally, internationally. So in New York State, you sign up and you become a member in the whole system. But someone from, you know, Ontario.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, somewhere
Kansas.
else. Yeah, someone from Kansas who's, you know, not officially affiliated with the whole network, they can sign up and create an account and list Kansas as their primary jurisdiction, and it's great. They can get in there and start mapping presence and not detected points.
For a short list of species.
For a shorter list of species, yes. There's a lot of different things built in there. So that, you know, one of the benefits from our perspective is being you know, having our state on board with the IMAP Invasive network is that we get to customize our species list. And so that's a huge benefit to us because we can list out what's invasive here, specifically in New York, versus, you know, say in Oregon, where like American bullfrogs are invasive there, but of course they're native here. So having that specificity is very important to us. Anyway, so yeah, signing up, everyone becomes a member instantly, which of course is a big change too from IMAP 2. You actually had to fill in a form and email us, and we had to manually create an account for you online. That could take a couple of days. You know, if it's over the weekend, you're not getting it till Monday, you know, so being able to sign up instantly was a huge step forward when we launched IMAP 3. And so that next step up from being a member is being within an organization. And so if you have, if you're doing any kind of mapping for work purposes, then, or, you know, if you have like a very organized volunteer network, say like you have an organization essentially for your volunteer group, you can have us create an organization for you. But just structurally within the database, we can add people to organizations, and organizations give you additional powers. So if you're a part of an organization within IMAP, you can now enter treatments, which is a big jump. And I actually have a slide that explains the differences, so I won't go through everything just now. But know that there's different permissions differences between organization, you know, being a member of an organization and being just a member of IMAP. And for organizations, you can have an administrator. You can actually have lots of administrators, and you can have lots of members, and I'll get into that a little bit too. You know, and just in the tiering of the database schema, like above organization, you have jurisdiction. So where New York Natural Heritage Program manages the jurisdiction, so we can actually create new organizations and so forth and add you to it and make you an administrator for that organization, so then you can run with it. And then that very top left part of the hierarchy, that top left corner there, the entire system, all the states and provinces that are a member of IMAP invasives, that's managed by NatureServe. So if a new state comes on board, if Kansas decides that they want to use this as their state system, then they contact NatureServe and they work with them to get it up and running.
Wow, you guys are awesome. I bet you're covering this later. Someone pointed out to remember to talk about a project at some point.
You guys are awesome. Yes. Yeah. That is next. You're giving me the perfect transitions. Yeah, so there are projects within IMAP that can be associated with your own just personal accounts, or if you're doing it for work and you want to set up an organizational project, you can do that as well. And then you actually have structure options within those. So we're trying to give as much power as we can to the users with IMAP 3. So within an organizational project, you can also have admins and members of that, and same within a personal project. And so that kind of gives you the like idea of how the hierarchy within the database structures is finagled, which leads to, oh, can you belong to more than one organization? Yes. You can belong to as many organizations as you need to, and so you can tie your data records to those different organizations that you belong to each time you enter a record. So you'll see a drop down of, you know, say if you're part of 5 different organizations, you'll see a drop down when you enter a record, whether on the app or online, and that will give you a list of your 5 organizations. All right. So we know the structure now, and so that gets to, okay, what's the difference between a project and an organization? Now I'm going to start with project, because I know, and it's had a lot of confusion because in IMAP 2, project had a lot of functionality tied to it, and so forget what you knew about projects from IMAP 2. We're just starting fresh. Projects in IMAP 3 are a way to tag a record to a topic or a grant, an event, so forth. So it's a way to put things, you know, like you hashtag things, right? I'm not very social media savvy, but I've been learning about hashtags, and you know, it's a way to just kind of group things together. You can have multiple tags on any one record. Yeah. So say I entered an observation record for something that was really new in my PRISM. I might put it, say, in my project for New York Natural Heritage Program, you know, my summer project. because I want to do that. But then say that the PRISM leader might see that observation I entered, and they might want to add it to their project for Capital Mohawk early detection reports for 2019 or something like that, you know, some kind of project that they've made. And so they can actually go into my record that I created that's already in my project, and they can tag it to their project as well. So you can have lots of ways to tag a record. It's just a good way to keep track of records. It makes it easier to filter, and I'm going to show the filters here in a little while too, because you can filter on projects. So it's just a nice way to organize things. Projects can be affiliated with either your organization, or you can make them a personal project, which doesn't hide it, but it just makes it so that, like, you know, say you work for Department of Transportation, you do collect some data for work, but you're doing this fun weekend project where you're doing a mapping project as a volunteer. So you can create your own personal project for that. Every project has a project admin, so that can be you very easily, and you can set up your own projects. I'm going to show you how to create a project here in a little bit, and you can add as many people to your project that you want to. They can unadd themselves if they don't want to be in your project. You know, but you can add them back in. I guess you guys can hash it out somehow.
Is that sort of what Carrie is asking? How do we solicit participation in a project? And you can just invite people, or kind of.
You can just add them.
You can add them as a member to your project.
You can grab people and put them in your project. You might want to let them know. We at least opened up the platform there so that you can do it, and then I guess how you use that capability for your for your work is kind of up to you. But yeah, you know, just letting people know. So that last bullet, you know, just kind of reiterating, forget everything you knew about projects in IMAP 2 and IMAP 3. Just because you have a record in your project doesn't mean that you can confirm it or edit it in any way. It's just tagged to your project, because you can grab any records that you want to in the whole database and add them to your project, because you know, you just want to keep track of it. It's your own personal way of filing things, essentially, but you can't confirm it just because it's in your project. All right, and so now getting to organizations. So organization now is the key to your specific permissions within IMAP. As I mentioned before, so organization members can enter treatments, and they can see each other's treatment details. I know for the Certified Trainers Network, you're typically not getting into treatments, and so that's typically not an issue, but you probably need to know for your own benefit as well. It's definitely come in handy with organizations that are doing a lot of treatments, and they're fine with you know, people knowing that they are, say, doing a chemical treatment here at this spot, but they're not as comfortable with everyone in the database knowing exactly how much of a chemical treatment they did. You know, like how many, you know, ounces of active ingredient and stuff. That's only for the people within your organization to see. And so that second bullet down gets to the big, one of the big permissions, is that if you're an organizational admin, so that's a role that can be assigned to you, you can now edit and confirm all the records within your organization. So that's huge. That was a big change from IMAP 2, and it's really putting the power of the organization into your hands, and the power of editing that data. And so now, you know, keep in mind that's only things within your organization. So if you have staff that are adding records to your organization, then you can do that to theirs. But if you have people, say, entering things into your project, you don't, you know, and they're not in your organization, then you don't have that power over those records. And you can set up, of course, organizational projects. Whew. Okay, I know that's a lot. I'll let everybody digest that for a sec. And
yeah, and a couple things flew by. So one thing that I love this group to know about is that technology is always changing. And so there was a suggestion for the IMAP mobile app. The IMAP mobile app is programmed by John Marino, who is in the New York Natural Heritage Program office, and we keep a running list of requests, and he prioritizes and works on those, you know, as time allows, and Sometimes, occasionally, like at the IMAP user feedback meeting just recently, we took a vote on which in that list of like 20 things were the top 3 things that people wanted him to work on. So please, if you have suggestions for the IMAP mobile app, send them to the IMAP box, and we will add them to the list. You know, sometimes we decide for certain reasons we don't want to do that, or sometimes we decide, no, with the technology we have in place, we can't do that. But if you don't ask, we don't know. Similarly, if you have suggestions for IMAP 3, please also feel free to forward those, and we do actively, probably like once a year, send out a survey for IMAP 3 suggestions. Online part. Mm-hmm. And that is a much longer, slower, collaborative process. So I don't know where that will get to. But again, please keep, you know, especially if it's like a minor thing, like if a word isn't clear or a text, we can sometimes do those on the fly with the NatureServe programmers. But even bigger ideas, you know, add them to the pile and the suggestion in the pot, and we stir it up, and it continues to evolve and become better because of input from everyone.
Right. And that whole network I was mentioning, you know, there's other states and provinces that are using IMAP. Everyone basically has to agree, or a majority has to agree that, you know, improvements need to be made, and then funding has to be found for the programmers to make those changes. So that's why it can be, you know, a big list. But it's not impossible. I mean, indeed, that's how, like, IMAP has grown. Even IMAP 2 grew and grew over the years because of suggestions from our users. And then we put it in the pot, and it might be a year or 2, but, you know, eventually comes
IMAP 3 came from all the users.
Yes, that's right. You know, some of those.
And it's awesome.
Yeah. Great. All right. So I am going to get online now, and I'm going to show people how to actually add members to your projects and create projects and things like that.
While you're online, you can show the Web Map Service World.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just also wanted to mention in that treatment world the pesticide applicator report. Mm-hmm. So down the road, we are working, if you do trainings for people who do pesticide applicator, we will be working on a pilot project for 2020 that allows people who enter all their data for treatment into IMAP to then use a tool that creates a file that they can submit for their annual report to the pesticide applicator world.
Right. Okay. Great. I know I saw flashes of other chats coming through, so
let's see.
Thank you on that. So I get over to the next part. Okay, I'm going to log back in here. There we go. All right.
Oh, that's a great question. Ryan has a very good point, and this would be something for that homework. Make a note, Ryan. I will send you some slides for the pre-homework PDF, pre-training homework PDF. They have to belong to an organization or a project before they can use it from their phone.
Yes, and so that gets back, yeah, that's great. Gets back to that suggestion I've made in the training section that we talked about a little while ago. We've been learning the hard way that if you are working with training a group that, you know, say a whole office staff where they're going to be using IMAP for their work, or, you know, or just people you want to get set up in a project, it really helps to get everything set up online before the training so that they'll be able to actually see those options.
And then just before you dive into online, you can do with this what you want, Jen, but there was a suggestion that we take a humanity break.
Oh, yeah. You guys need to, okay, let's, you know, run and grab a cup of coffee or use the restroom or something. We'll take 5 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we're going to resume at 12:20, and we'll be back shortly. right, we'll get started back up here in just a moment. Everyone got a chance to stretch their legs? All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started again. All right, thanks everyone. So what I want to run everyone through, since we just talked about projects and organizations and so forth, is how to actually do that stuff online. And so you do need to, anything related to joining a project or joining an organization has to be done in the mothership, has to be done on the web browser online. And I guess you could do it on your phone, but I'm definitely going to do it on the laptop because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of screens and such to run through. All right, so as you all probably know by now, when you're on the browser, there's this little icon in the upper left-hand corner that has looks like a kudzu leaf behind it, and the 3 little bars. That's your menu bar. And so there's a lot of stuff in there. Beyond just the data that's there. So you have like the species list, but we're going to be honing in on projects and organizations. But before we do that, I'm going to keep on scrolling down to your account. So go ahead and click on your account if you're online, or you could just watch my screen. I guess, yeah, it's probably hard to do with the webinar and online, but whatever floats your boat. Here I'm on my account, so this is just a way for me to quickly see what permissions do I have. So I can see that I have my home jurisdiction set to New York, so that's important. That gives me the New York species list. I have my primary organization set to New York Natural Heritage Program. That means that will be the default anytime I enter data. I can have additional organizations, and I'll show you that here in a sec. But the primary one is my default one. Now I'm going to scroll on down. I can see, oops, I scrolled a little too far, what projects I'm a member of or an admin of. So I can see, you know, I have 4 projects here. I'm a member of this first one. Oh, the second one, I've requested to join and nobody's let me in. So it's pending still. That was just me testing things out. I can, and then these last 2 I'm administrators for. And then if I keep on scrolling down, I can see I'm a member of one organization, and it's New York Natural Heritage Program. I'm actually the admin for that program. Within organizations, like I said, I add this list. You can also assign people, if you're an admin for an organization, I can say like, pick other people from my organization that I say I don't want them as the admin role, but I want them to be able to confirm the plant records that are coming in through my organization. I can assign them those different features. I'm also a member of New York State.
Wait.
What?
So that's very powerful. You're saying that within an organization, so like if CCE sets up an organization for a county, they can have some people be able to confirm plant and some people animal aquatic. Did I hear that right?
Within their organizational records, yes.
That's great.
Yeah, there's all kinds of fun powers in there. And then if you are a state confirmer, and you might see this, a jurisdictional privilege. So, you know, of course, anyone who has New York as their home jurisdiction, they're members of the New York Imap group. But this is additional, like, you know, permissions, essentially. So for New York, I have permissions to confirm plant records and aquatic records, or aquatic plant records. So you might see one or all of those different permissions or various aspects of those on your own account. All right, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the organization list. Can those confirmers that we set as organizational admins? Oh, I missed the rest of Ryan's chat. Did you see that?
Could those confirmers that we set up as organization admins also be able to change? Let's say someone found what they thought is X, but actually it's Y. So if within your organization
you change the species,
you give like 3 people admin privilege, or they don't have to have admin, it's just confirmer privilege, right, for their organization. And yet then, yes, could they change the species? Am I understanding that right? Like, those confirmers don't have to be admins.
Right,
okay.
Right. And there is a little bug right now for confirmers to be able to change the species name.
So soon.
And it's soon, yes. If you're the intention is, if you're a confirmer, you should be able to delete that record if it's completely incorrect, or change the species of that record in order to confirm it. But it just...
At the moment, it reverts back to the original species.
Yeah, at the moment, if you change the species, there's a bug in there. Not a bug species, but you know what I mean, a programming bug. And so we're working on that. But the admin, actually, a way to override that is the admin of that organization has full editing powers for that record, and they can do it successfully. And myself, as the state admin, I can do it successfully. So if you're a confirmer and not an admin for your organization, you run into the issue that you need to change the species, just reach out to us for now. Hopefully we'll get that fixed soon. All right. Great questions. I'm hopping over to organizations. So on that menu bar, hit organizations. This is our list. We have over 1,000 organizations in New York. And you can search for your organization. So I'm going to search for New York National Heritage Program, because that's what I'm a member of. I'm actually an admin for. And because I'm an admin for this organization, I'm going to have this little edit tool in the upper right-hand corner. And so you'll see this theme throughout the system. Like if you're trying to edit one of your own records, you will see that little edit tool right there. I know it's kind of, you just got to train your eye to see it. I know it's been missed frequently, and we have to point that out to people. But yeah, so if you hit that edit button, then that allows you now to add members or change the roles. Because I'm the admin for this organization, you know, I can search for, say, our Heritage Director, DJ Evans, and I can see that, yes, she is a member of this organization. I could change it and make her an admin of this organization if I wanted to, but I'm going to leave her as a member, or I could even delete her from the organization as a whole. So as a organizational admin, I can add people, I can take people away. It does not affect in any way the records they've already entered. So I've actually been encouraging like the PRISM staff and organization staff admins to clean up their staff list at the end of the season. So State Parks has to go in and X out all of their summer staff, you know, so that they can clean up their list, and so that those permissions for that particular person within that organization go away, but their records that they entered for the organization are still there, tied to that organization forever. All right.
Jen, I just want to make sure I answered this correctly. The question was about that confirming world again, and I said project confirmer can confirm project records only. Organization confirmer can confirm organization records.
I'm going to stop you. No project.
Oh, no project.
No project confirmers.
No. So the organization confirmer can do the organization, and the jurisdiction confirmer can do any. They have
for the
power.
whole state. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
No project confirmer.
Yeah. I know it's been hard for us to get that straight in our heads. You know, for months I was still mixing up projects and organizations.
Well, and I saw when you were in, I got confused myself just recently, because when you were on your screen for your user and you got down to the bottom under project, I thought I saw confirmer stuff again, but
no,
I must have seen
it was
wrong.
Organization. Yeah. And I'm gathering that we should have a webinar dedicated to confirming.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like
idea.
there's a lot of great questions about this, so that we can do a deep dive at some point, because there is a lot of really cool stuff going on with confirming as well. and that would be, I think, helpful. Even, you know, we'll definitely advertise it to the Certified Trainers Network, but also
our Confirmer
network that's, you know, we're trying
our
to...
organization people,
Yep, great. All right, so I can add members. You know, I can search for somebody, so say I wanted to add Frank Williams to our organization, I can add him there, add him as a member, and then one of the funny things is that person now goes to the bottom of the list. But if you just search for the person you just added, you can see that they're a member. I could make them an admin if I wanted to. There's lots of different ways I can do it. And I would have to save that to activate it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and X them out. Sorry, Frank, I won't add you to our organization, but just to know that that's some of the power that they have in there.
So what if there's an organization with no admin?
Oh, then you get an email from us. So we do have, we actually, when we migrated all the data from IMAP 2 into IMAP 3, we did not migrate in anybody as an organizational admin because we didn't have that role before. And so we've been slowly assigning organizational admins. If you are part of an organization, you want to be the admin, please let us know. Just send us an email to the IMAP box, and we will gladly put you as the admin. Because as new people come in, if they want to, they can actually request to join your organization, and then you will get an email, and you can confirm or deny that person access to your organization. And so we love to have admins for each of those organizations.
That would be our goal. Like,
yeah.
The long-term goal is every organization should have an admin.
Yes, exactly. Some of them are tricky, I know, like Cornell. I don't know, Carrie, if you're, well, I don't know if that's even your primary organization, because you have so many different organizations going on. But Cornell, you know, of course, has a million different groups. There's the Research Institute, there's the Hemlock Initiative, there's a lot of, but you might have Hemlock Initiative as a separate organization. So, you know, that's stuff that we can play around with and set up something that works best for your work. So, you know, we can certainly have a chat about that.
And we certainly are leaning towards more consolidation. Like I know DEC before and IMAP 2 had like 20 organizations, and now they have one, and we've used the projects under that for the subgroups.
Yeah, the DEC organization was a mess when we first migrated, just because we had Bureau of Land and Forests, Fisheries, you know, all as separate organizations, and we've gone with one agency, one organization, and it's been working out pretty well. All right, so if I go back, let's see here. I'm going to go back to your account. So now that you've seen that organization screen, if I go, you know, so I'm back on my account. See, once again, I have that little edit tool because this is my account. I can change things here. I could change my primary organization if I had another organization down there. I'm going to go down here and just show you that you can request to join both projects and organizations when this is in edit mode. So I can request to join a project, and I can request to join an organization, and I'm going to be pending until the admin for that project or organization accepts me in. The organizational admins, as many as there are, they will all get an email message saying, so-and-so, Jennifer Dean has requested to join your organization, and then that's when you would have to go to your organization screen and either let them in or not let them in.
I'm sorry, I only laughed because during testing of IMAP 3, the New York Natural Heritage Program had like 15 admins, and so anytime we did anything, they all got emails.
The whole staff of the Heritage Program. Yeah, we spammed them all a couple times before we figured that out.
But now we have it figured out. So.
Yes. All right, so any questions real quick about organizations? You know, I showed you that organization edit mode. You know, here I can click back on my organization. So if you're the admin, you have all these powers. Before I jump into projects, I want to show everyone how to create a project next, but I'll give a sec for any questions specifically about organizations. I know they've been coming in as we go.
They've been coming in. I think we're good.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go back to that menu screen, and now I'm going to go to projects. And so this is showing all the projects in New York, all the active projects. There is a little toggle to just show your projects. And so here are the, the different projects that I'm a member of or that it's pending. Very interesting because I had 4 projects in my profile and I'm only seeing 3 projects in my list of projects. That might be something for us to investigate. That always brings me to another thing that I love to repeat. You might run into bugs in the system every once in a while. It is a huge, programming feat. And occasionally things are, a line of code is off. And so
possible the project that isn't showing up was not under the New York Natural Heritage Program org?
No, it's possible that it's inactive, actually. Ooh, if I show, oh, no, okay, it's not a bug, it's intentional. It was actually a project that's inactive, okay. But if you do find a bug or you find something weird like that, we're constantly getting stumped, like, why doesn't it work like that? And it turns out it's an intentional button that they put in there so that I wouldn't have to see the inactive project. All right, so I'm on project screen, and it looks very similar, so I'm gonna go to my NYNHP Jen is testing IMAP 3 project. And this is what it would look like if you have a project created. You can edit it. It looks very much like the organization screen. You can add members to your project. So once again, if I was going to add Frank, I could search him in the user list and add him as a member. And then I can assign a different role to him. If I wanted to make him an admin, I could do that. So yeah, you can fill out these different fields and so forth. This is associated with my organization. I can also deactivate it. Like if I'm all done, it still, doesn't do anything to the data that was already collected. It just means that it won't show up in your list if it's deactivated. So if you're completely done with that project from 3 years ago, you can deactivate it and it just won't clutter up your list, but you can always come back to it. All right, so if I go back to that project screen, I just wanted to show you this little button up here that's create a new project. So I'm going to click on that, and this is where I get to create something from scratch. And everyone can do this, whether you're an admin or not, you're a member of an organization or not, you can do this. So let's see, my project name is Jen is Testing Again. Put some text in here for a description. I'm defaulting as the project lead and the project admin, which in all honesty is the same thing. We're still trying to work out some of those data fields. You can put a start date in there, which is helpful. If you wanted to put a project cost, you can do that as well. And because I'm a member of an organization, I get this option to make it an organizational project. But say this is my volunteer work on the side, and I want to make it a personal project. Now my organization disappears, and it's just associated with me. It won't show up in the New York Natural Heritage Program project list. And I can add partner organizations if I wanted to, like say this was the, oh my gosh, I can't even spell it right. Rensselaer, okay, never mind. Rensselaer Land Trust or the Columbia County Land Trust. Oh wait, why is that not, actually, nothing's showing up.
Kind of related to that, and I think you already answered this. I just want to make sure I have it right.
Okay.
The inactive project, the data's still there, just the project is no longer updatable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Data exists.
Oh, I think I actually may have found a bug.
Okay.
I can't add any partner organizations, but maybe it's because I don't have it associated with an organization. No, I think there's a, okay. Well,
I will,
once we fix that, you should be able to list partner organizations, and it's really just for a project. And it's just kind of a nice way of like giving kudos to your partners. It doesn't have any functionality tied to it, but it's just a way to list out, the people or the organizations who are associated with that project. All right. Was there a question about active versus inactive?
the project.
Yeah.
The record still exists, so I said data exists, project is not updatable.
Right, unless you come.
Unless it's reactivated.
Unless it's reactivated, yep, exactly, yeah. Good question.
Okay.
Great. Alrighty. I'm going to save that. So that is a dive into the organization and the project world.
There was a lot there.
Yeah. You know, and every time I try to put it down into words, I learn more and more. And I think that this would be another great handout to have too, just that organization versus project difference. We actually, you know what, we do have
an org handout and a project handout, and we have a roles handout.
Yes.
Probably on the user manual.
Yeah, I know where it is actually. Brittany made this one. Let's see, under the help and resources, the help documents, there is a one about organizations, I think. Oh, you know what? No, it's under, maybe it's under the user manual. Organizations, yes. So there's a nice tip sheet that Brittany had put together while she was working for us on managing data for your organizations and the importance of organizations and so forth and what, yeah, that kind of stuff. So if you can find it, no, it was on the user manual, then that's very helpful as well. But I think we need one that compares organizations and projects because I know that's been a source of confusion for a lot of folks.
The compare, I like that a lot, yep.
Yep. All right. And then one last fun thing that I just wanted to show, actually, there was a question about email alerts, weren't there?
Yes, there was.
Okay, so
specifically for Prism.
I just want to make sure everyone knows that we have this filter records tool on the web browser. And this is new as of like a couple months ago, and it's super powerful. You can search for, you know, a person's records. You can filter for just your own records. So if I just, oh, you have to actually apply the filter, sorry. So you set up, you know, these filter criteria, you apply the filter, it spins, and then you see like, you know, your records, you can zoom into those. But I think mostly, you know, people are looking for different species, like if I did mile a minute, I can apply the filter, I could do habitat type, I could do, you know, aquatic versus terrestrial or something like that. The date, the organization, project, so that's where like tagging records to your project comes in handy. You know, there's a lot of different things that you can set up there. And then it is helpful as well because there is this export option if you want to do your own like data analyses and so forth. You want to get the records out as an Excel file. This kind of helps filter down because you have a limit with the export. It's a 10,000 K export. And so you need to, you know, whittle down your search string that you need to. Oh, I just saw Carrie's question.
Can we export unconfirmed records yet?
Okay, I'm racking my brain about the permissions. So you can export unconfirmed records from your organization. You can't export unconfirmed records from the whole state.
And that's intentional though, right?
That is intentional. One thing that will be coming before too long is the ability to tease out confirmed versus unconfirmed at the statewide view. Like when you have these hexagons, that's combining both the confirmed and the unconfirmed. And then when you zoom in, then it breaks it down into the different, I guess I gotta zoom even further. You know, like now the pink points are unconfirmed and the green points are confirmed. But, you know, you can't see that at the state level. And that's been really frustrating for me too, because I want to confirm, say for a species at, you know, I want to look at the whole state and I want to say, okay, you know, what unconfirmed records do we still have lingering out there for hemlock woolly adelgid, so I can, you know, nudge Jason over here in the office or Carrie or someone and do that. What's up?
But you can now show not detected.
Yes, you can show not detected at the state level. You just can't tease out the confirmed from unconfirmed records at the state level.
Oh, confirmed, unconfirmed. I'm sorry. So, Yes, and Carrie asked about negative records, and they were on the brain, and I was not registering.
Yes. Yeah, so now you can do the not detected records. I have it filtered for mile a minute, so it's only showing me these mile a minute not detected records. But did you see those pop up if I toggle it off and on? So you can see those now.
And she should be able to now download, because there wouldn't be 10,000 state level not detected for HWA.
Right. So yeah, if you just wanted the not detected records and you want to make sure that you're within that 10,000 K export, you can you could turn off the present species and just download the not detected records, and that will definitely put you underneath that limit. Yeah. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and close that. Can records found before added to an organ? Oops, I missed it. My chats keep disappearing.
Yeah, you only get the bubble pop.
Yeah.
So can records found before being added to an organization or project be added to the organization or project, or does the accumulation of data for that organization or project begin only after being added to an? I don't think it would go retroactive. So what does that mean? I'm not quite sure.
You can retroactively add records either to a project or organization. To add them to a project, you can do it at any time. Even after that record's been confirmed, you can still add it to your project. For organization, it's trickier because you don't have editing powers over that record until that record is tagged to your organization, right? And so, and we have run into this issue. That's why we're learning, to get those organizations set up before people set up the app. Because if they go and enter a bunch of records before they had their organization set up on the app, then those records are not in your organization. We do have some sneaky ways to do it through the back end. So if you realize that like hundreds of organizations that should be tagged to your, or hundreds of records that should be tagged to your organization went in without being tagged, then let us know and we can do some stuff on the back end. We can do it manually as admins. So we can fix those for you, and then you'll have the records in there. I hope that answered your question. If that didn't get to your question, Ryan, just chat back.
Well, or email the box. Yeah, I have to leave in about 5 minutes.
Oh, so, got it. Yeah, and you know what? We're past that hour-and-a-half mark that I said.
Yes. Okay. We do want to still show the email alerts, though.
Yeah. Okay. So I went back to that menu box, and I went to email alerts. And so this is how you can set up email alerts. You need to, once again, there's this little edit button tool, pencil tool on the side. And once you click that, now you can add an alert. There are some predefined alerts, like alert me when a record I created has been updated. So that means like, if somebody has confirmed it or something, you'll get an alert. Or alert me when a presence record is the first of its species in the region, AKA county. We couldn't call it county because Canada does not have counties. They have an equivalent, so we had to use a generic term called region. But if I add an alert, this is where you get the power to set up a customized alert. You call it whatever you want. My favorite alert, say I want this immediately, like anytime a record comes in, I get this option between new records, including unconfirmed. I will only see this option if I have some kind of permission in the system to confirm records, I believe, or if I'm an organizational admin. And then confirmed records only. So if I want to see everything, if I want to see all the new stuff coming in before it's confirmed, we don't have that option for the general public because there's a lot of false reports or misidentifications that come in, and we don't want alerts for Asian longhorn beetle, say, to be going out to general public folks that have set this up because that could be very misleading and have implications for quarantines and such. Yeah, it gets tricky. But as an organizational admin or a confirmer, you get this option for unconfirmed reports because we figure how to kind of process that and take everything with a grain of salt until it's confirmed. I can set things up by, different species type. Like if I do species type, then I can say I want all animals, and say I just want all terrestrial animals, so I can do that. Location, so I'm going to hit a geography type, and then that's where I'm going to say maybe pick my county or my PRISM. So the PRISMs are the regional management partnerships. That's how they're labeled in IMAP, because we're dealing with a lot of states that call those regions things other than PRISMs. But you can select a PRISM for New York, so you have to tell them, which geographic list you want it to tap into, and then say I want the Capital Mohawk PRISM. I can add a buffer to that or so forth, and then I can save my alert. And so now I have my Capital Mohawk PRISM alert. That probably would have been a better name than just my favorite alert. And for all terrestrial animals, and including unconfirmed reports. All right. Any questions about that? Email alerts?
They're very powerful, so you can, in that geography, there's so many options.
Yes. Yeah, I just kind of scratched the surface there, but once you start looking at all the different options.
And the multiple species, so you can do like 5 species if you want it for a PRISM.
And I learned very quickly that immediate alerts will overwhelm your inbox, especially in the summertime, because there's so much data coming in. So I usually go to a daily digest for the important things. Yeah. All right. I think that is, I know Carrie had a question about iNaturalist and EdMap. So we could stay on, Carrie, if you want to, and I can talk to you about that, because I know Meg's going to have to go. I did want to just let you guys know that the development of IMAP 3 is still ongoing. It's always a work in progress. Some of the things that are in the queue, probably in the next couple of months, is a report, like a summarization tool. So a summary of species by, say, county or water body. I know that's something that people had in IMAP 2 and they really miss. And so we should have that coming out, probably, I'd say, in the next big batch of development. The programmers are working on that now. And also, we're still determining where that pesticide applicator report will fall, but at some point, at least here in New York, we'll have some type of tool for people who are doing pesticide applications on a regular basis.
Another thing about the IMAP and the iNaturalist. So IMAP invasives and iNaturalist are very different. They are not under the same larger organization. iNaturalist does cover all species and presence only, whereas IMAP invasives is invasive species specific and does presence, absence, searched area treatment, email alerts, things like that. We are trying to leverage, the iNaturalist does amazing stuff, and we certainly want to make the process between that invasive species data into IMAP more, at least as a reference on the web map service, is kind of our first goal, and where that progresses from there requires agreements between NatureServe, which does IMAP, and Academy
of Sciences
that does iNaturalist, and will be an ongoing work in progress.
Yep.
How's that?
That's great.
All right, thanks everyone. I'm signing off.
Okay, bye Meg. Thanks.
Bye.
And let's see, who's still? That was pretty much everything I wanted to cover for the trainers network part. I'm looking at my participant list. We got Carrie, Jessica, Brian, and Melissa. So I think what I'll do now is just, I'm willing to stay on the line as long as you guys want to. We're definitely gonna, it's just kind of like the open discussion Q&A. I know that the iNaturalist and EdMap conversation is coming up next. Does anybody else have like a topic that they would like to cover? All right. All right, great. Well, so everyone's more than welcome to hang on as long as they want, or if you've kind of gotten your fill, you're more than welcome to sign off. Totally up to you. We'll do a little chat about this next topic, and then I think we'll probably call it a day. Great.
Can you refresh my memory on what the next topic is?
I'm sorry, what was that, Carrie? You're a little garbled.
Can you refresh my memory on what the next topic is?
I think it was a question from you, right? And I don't know what I was actually going to ask you what the question was.
EdMaps and IMAP?
Yeah, it was something about
data exchange.
Okay, was that you that asked that question earlier on through the chat box?
About the crosswalk with iNaturalist?
Okay. Okay, you're just wondering what the status was and whether that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's still a moving target. We're still trying to work it out. I know that NatureServe and iNaturalist through the California Academy of Sciences have been having high-level conversations about this because it's, it's a huge data exchange permissions question. And we want to make sure we're not infringing on their terms of use for their data, which they do have pretty open, but there's lots of little legal nuances that, are way above my pay grade and for data sharing with large national databases. So they are working it out. I can tell you, I can kind of update you on like the conversations that we've been having more on the ground, like about what we would like to see. In terms of a data exchange between iNaturalist and IMAP invasives, there is a lot of information in iNaturalist. They have millions and millions and millions of records, observation records for all species. And so within that mix, they're getting a lot of really important reports, right? If you search for spotted lanternfly in iNaturalist, you're going to see things both in Pennsylvania and New York. Luckily for the New York ones, like anytime we catch those coming through that iNaturalist interface, we immediately send those over to Lands and Forests and Ag and Markets. And so I think they're pretty in tune now. Like they're actually, they're probably monitoring iNaturalist as well. But, just because they have such an amazing crowd of users, these things are coming in and people can enter observations without actually knowing what the species is. And so, they just see a cool looking bug and they take a picture of it and submit it to iNaturalist, not knowing that it's like, the next big pest that we're, we all like are like frantically searching for. They just happen to see it somewhere. So a couple things that I've been thinking about, like, is like for those really important things, I would like to have a direct crosswalk into IMAP invasives as those things come into iNaturalist. I don't know if that's going to be feasible or not, but like before it even gets to research grade, like, a short list of species that if it comes into iNaturalist, we just need to know about it. Like we need to like have our eyes on it immediately. And so in my ideal setup, I would have a short list of species that would automatically crosswalk into the back end of IMAP invasives and then thus trigger email alerts. And then for the much longer list of species, because, in iNaturalist, you're going to have, there's probably 10,000 records of Phragmites in iNaturalist. I don't feel like we need to crosswalk those into the back end of IMAP invasives. One of the technologies that NatureServe is working on is being able to display a view of the data straight from the iNaturalist platform.
I guess that's what I meant by crosswalk.
Okay. Yeah, and so we actually have we have a proof of concept of that right now in IMAP. Here, I'm going to load up the map again. I'm going to get over here, and then we have, let's see, I got to rearrange these little things. Like on this layers on off, under exchange services, we have this PNC Adirondack thing, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more because the Nature Conservancy, they have very specific data collection needs for their staff and staff nationwide. So they, a couple years ago, created their own Esri collector application that their staff uses, but it's through ArcGIS and it's online. And so when I turn on this exchange service, I'm now actually looking at data that's in their database, and I'm just viewing it. The problem is it doesn't trigger any email alerts, so that is one downfall with not having it in the back end. But it is a proof of concept, and the filters do work on it, which is nice, because they have we were able to create a crosswalk that matches their species list to our species list. And so at least you'll be able to filter on it. It just won't calculate on it, if that makes sense. So when we get these summary reports coming up, it won't include it, like say in the county species list. So there's pros and cons, but it's not using our database server resources to host their data. You know, it's just showing a view of it. And this is what we would love to do for EdMaps, for USGS NAS, for USGS Bison, all these big national data sets. We've actually had, well, NatureServe has had conversations with all of them about how can we get to this, because this is the next generation of data sharing, essentially, is these web map services, as opposed to these static, you know, data downloads, give it to the other database. Like we do this for EdMaps, we download all of our data, we give it to them, they have to reformat everything to match their database, then they upload it, and now you have a static snapshot, but now it's out of date. Like if we make a change on one of these data points in our database, they're not going to see that until like next year when they do another data exchange.
Hey, Ryan had two questions. One is,
okay.
She participated in the October webinar, this one. So is she now officially a certified trainer, or does she need additional certification?
Oh, great question. Let's see. And actually, maybe some of the certified trainers on the line can help me with the rules. I can't remember exactly what the rules were that Brittany formed, but you are definitely a member of the trainer network, the Certified Trainers Network, just by like expressing interest, right? Oh, maybe you have to fill out the plan. Oh, yeah. So we'll get in touch with you, Ryan. There's like a little form that we have that you can fill out, like it's like the goals of being a certified trainer and what trainings you hope to perform and things like that. So by just filling out that form, then you're officially a member of the network. And then once you do trainings, then you can become a basic trainer by doing, I think, 1 training a year, and then maybe a master trainer by doing 2 or 3 trainings per year. But you're always a member of the Certified Trainers Network, regardless of whether you host trainings, but then once you do host trainings, then you become a trainer.
Her other question is, can she email a list of questions to her program? And she just said, okay, thanks to your answer.
Okay. Specific list of questions to my program organization. I don't know what questions do you mean? Any clarification on that one?
Can she email you with questions?
Oh, yeah. Email list of what? Well, I guess I don't know which questions into her organization.
She'll email you.
Yeah, if you have a bunch of questions. Oh, about my org. Yes, certainly. Yes. Yeah, definitely email us, and we'll be able to get you hooked up with as many answers as we can.
And I actually already emailed you a bunch of questions, so I'm wondering maybe we could set up another webinar later today or next week instead of taking up people's time.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank you.
If you just want to stay on the line, Carrie, we can officially end the trainer network training for now, unless anyone else has questions. And then Carrie and you and I can chat a little bit longer. All right. Well, let's see. Can you lead a webinar on citizen science in IMAP? Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, actually, that would be a great kind of incoming thing for our new person coming online. Yes, I think that's a great idea. And if you can email that to would you mind, Ryan, emailing that suggestion to the IMAP email box? And we'll make sure that that gets on in the queue. It'll probably be after the holidays, but that's a great idea. Oh, Melissa says, I'm trying to organize my first training. Are there any tips or steps I should take for this? I'm presenting, but not sure where to start with hosting. Oh, great. Okay. And Melissa, you are with, okay, Soil and Water Conservation District. Great. Orleans County. And so, yeah, in terms of organizing it, I guess We can certainly chat offline, but in terms of like just announcing it, like if you're trying to do something that's geared essentially to the public, like anyone can come. A lot of times, you know, it kind of starts with a location. You know, identify a good location where, you know, you have good internet connectivity, like whether it's like a library or if your office has a training room. Oh, actually, I'm getting kicked out of this room. I realized we didn't have this scheduled too much longer. So you can get the place organized and then start advertising, and that's usually, I usually find if you schedule it, they will come, and advertising through the PRISM listserv is an excellent idea. But actually, yeah, so I'm gonna have to jump off because this conference room is actually scheduled for somebody to come in right now, and they're hovering at the door. So, so I am gonna have to officially sign off, but Carrie, let's reconnect. I'll email you, if you're monitoring email today, that I'll email you here in a little bit to get us set up with a time. Sound good? All right. Well, thanks all. I'm going to go ahead and log off. Bye. Thank you.